Hi class, it's Sabrina Dolphin here again. The book that I decided to do my picture walk on is The Three Billy Goats Gruff. Before I begin to do any picture walk, it's very important to me that I always introduce the title of our story. And when I introduce the title, I point to the words, The Three Billy Goats Gruff. And when I introduce the title, I also introduce the author and the illustrator. Because what good is a book without knowing the author and the illustrator and who does what? And with being consistent on introducing the author and the illustrator, the children become familiarized with what the author does and what the illustrator does. This is a book that we read quite often in my home, and I use this at school, with my students. And this book is really bright. The colors are popping. It catches the eyes of our students. So as we begin our picture walk, you begin to flip through the pages. And you know what? Before you begin to flip through the pages, you actually ask questions about the front cover of the book.
This is the front,
yeah,
back, and this is the spine, the top, bottom, and this is the side, and these are the pages.
So those are things that I do with my students as well. I teach them that this is the spine of the book. The spine holds the pages together. This is the front, the back, the side, and these are the pages in the book. Now, before you begin the picture walk, you always start with the front cover. You ask your students, what do you think The Three Billy Goats Gruff is going to be about?
Maybe it's going to be about old stinky troll trying to eat a goat, I guess, but I don't know.
We read this at home, so her answers may be right on because we read it at home. But 9 times out of 10, when I ask my students, well, what do you think The Three Billy Goats Gruff is going to be about? My students usually say they look like they're looking for food. They're looking for something far away. They're looking for a home. Maybe they're moving. Maybe they're lost. So as children give you these responses, you then begin to continue to flip through the pages. This is a long book, so I'm not going to flip through every page because also when I do my picture walk, I do not do a picture walk sometimes of every single page, depending on the book. So for instance, for this book, you'd open it up. Oh, my hands. And this is the first page of the book. So for the first page of the book looks like this. I would then ask my students, what do you think is happening on this page?
Maybe he's looking somewhere far away because he's the biggest goat, and maybe he can see an old stinky troll.
So as your students give you responses, what's the word I'm looking for? As your students give you responses, you engage in that that back and forth exchange. Well, why do you think that he's looking far away? Well, what makes you think that he's going to see a troll? How do you think he feels? Do you think he's scared? Would you be scared? Do you like trolls? Have you ever seen a troll? But you wouldn't necessarily ask all of those questions on one page. You expand it out to go throughout the book. Yes, baby.
Look. And this is not.
You spilled some fruit.
And this is fiction. Because no goat can talk.
So as you continue to flip through the page, you ask more questions. Well, what do you think's going on this page? What do the goats look like they're doing?
Maybe they're trying to have fun talking to each other. And this page, and this one, they're just looking around for some food, I guess.
They're looking around for some. What makes you think they're looking around for some food? What are they doing that makes you think that they're looking for food?
They're smelling with their nose.
They're smelling. So as you point out those key things when students say they look like they're looking for food, well, what makes you think they're looking for food? What are they doing to make you think they're looking for food? You then begin to continue to flip through the pages. Whew. And then you can begin to ask about the different features of the characters. You can then ask your students, well, what do you think these things are called on the top of his head? Do we have those things on the top of our head?
No, we're humans. They're animals.
And what do you think that's called?
They're horns.
They're horns. And what do you think these things are called on the bottom? What are those?
They are
They're
the little things, their feet that keep them shiny so they won't hurt these stuff on there so nothing will get stuck.
Another good thing to do too, as she gave her response, when we begin to read the story, then can begin to introduce the words in the book where they say the hooves. And then you can say, remember when Sagier said that these were little shiny things? Those were his feet. Well, his feet are called hooves. Goats have hooves. So you begin to introduce and give them those vocabulary words, those new words that they may be big, but guess what? When you introduce them to them, they're new words that they're learning. And the more you do it, the more they begin to learn more and more words. So I'm not going to go through the whole book because you should by now understand what the picture walk is, you know, talking about what you see on the page, what the students see on the page, what they think is going to happen, to get their mind start to going, to draw their curiosity about this book, maybe make connections to things that they've, you know, maybe they went to the zoo and they've seen a goat before. Maybe they got to pet a goat. So when you do picture walks, it also helps because it may draw connections. It draws their curiosity to think about things. But I'm going to read a little bit of this book to show you how I read it. And I, you know, pronounce and I exaggerate some of my words when I'm reading. So, but Little Billy Goat's idea was not as simple as it seemed. You see, the only way to cross the river was on a long wooden bridge. Under the bridge lived a hideous, horrible, stinky old troll. And see, as I exaggerated and, you know, my voice really got louder and the tone of it changed, you then can point to these words and say, hideous, horrible, stinky old troll. Do you want to live with a horrible, stinky old troll?
Nope. They do not bathe or color.
So when you're exaggerating and, you know, you're switching your words up a little bit to, you know, exaggerate on them, students really begin to think and they're like, wow, hideous, horrible, stinky old troll. No, I don't want to stay or go see one of those.
No way.
But you continue to read and then you can go, we can't go across that bridge, cried Middle Billy Goat Gruff. What about that troll? I'm not worried about the troll, said Big Billy Goat Gruff. Well, I am, said his middle brother. I don't feel like being eaten for lunch. Don't worry, said Little Billy Goat Gruff, feeling very smart indeed. I have a plan. And he told them what it was. So as you're reading, when he says, I had a plan, you can say to your students, well, what plan do you think the Big Billy Goat Gruff had?
Maybe he's gonna split up, and then when he pops out, the big then he's gonna try to eat him, or maybe he's gonna run away.
And then the next morning, Little Billy Goat Gruff set off across the bridge. Trip, trap, went his tiny hooves on the wooden plank. And as I'm reading and I said his tiny hooves, I can then refer back to make that connection when I asked my students in the beginning of the picture walk, what do you think those things are on his head and on the feet, like they said? You can say, well, those are called hooves, boys and girls. Goats have hooves.
Mommy.
Yes. You need help?
I need help.
Okay. So this is how I do my picture walks and how I read and exaggerate and do all of that good stuff with my books. And the most important thing that I really want for you all to take out of doing a picture walk is that whenever you do a picture walk, you show the cover, read the title, ask what do you think the story will be about, what's going on, who is this, and where did the character come from. Last but not least, how do you think the story will end? These are all things that get children's mind thinking. They build on prior experiences and make those connections, because a good example would be for a child. Maybe a child went to the zoo and they saw goats. So reading this story, children will give you all sorts of answers. But that's how I do my picture walk. I read, I go through the pages, ask questions to get their minds going. And then as I read, I make those connections back to what they may have said to give them, answers. So have a good day. Say bye. Say bye, Simone.